On today's video, we're gonna be making biscuits and gravy from scratch. So this is how they turned out. I'm gonna show you how to do it. Get started making the biscuits. We're gonna do that first, and then we'll make the gravy while they are baking. So the first step is I went ahead and I preheated my oven to 425. And then let's go over the biscuit ingredients. It's pretty basic stuff, and you can even save money by using store brand. There's one ingredient that I would recommend spending the extra money on, so we'll go over that. So in this measuring cup, I have 2 cups of all-purpose flour here, store brand. Then I added a tablespoon of the store brand baking powder, a tablespoon of store brand granulated sugar, and then also a teaspoon of the store brand salt, iodized salt. So all of that is in here, and we're just gonna mix that up with a fork to get the different ingredients mixed in. So once that's mixed in, the other 2 ingredients that we're going to use in this is going to be 3/4 of a cup of whole milk, which I've already measured out here. And this is where you want to spend the extra money. So we're going to need, for this recipe, 6 tablespoons of butter. I recommend spending the extra money on this one. It's a way better quality and better taste than any of the other butters. One of the big things about this recipe is the 6 tablespoons of butter. You want to sit that in your freezer for about 15 minutes before you start mixing this into the flour. It's going to make your biscuits a lot more flaky. So to get started, and which I did put mine in the freezer about 15 minutes ago. So our dry ingredients, which again was the flour, the baking powder, the sugar, and the salt, we're going to go ahead and put it in our mixing bowl. Couple other things that do come in handy for this recipe, and that's going to be pastry cutter when we add the butter in here, and a wooden spoon. I'll show you why as we go along. So grab your butter, and we'll go ahead and get this incorporated into the dry mixture. So what we're going to do, I've cut it up into the 6 tablespoons that I need. Like I said, it's been in the freezer for 15 to 20 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and incorporate this into the dry ingredients with the pastry blender. So we want it to come out looking like fine crumbles when we're done. It's still gonna be pretty dry, but we're gonna add milk in just a little bit. So go ahead and get some of this mixed in. And this recipe that I'm doing will make about 6 biscuits. So if you're gonna want more than that, you probably will want to double it. Well, after getting all the butter cut in there, this is what it's looking like at this point. So there's a little bit of crumbly to it, and then we'll go ahead and we'll start gradually adding our milk. This is where the wooden spoon comes in handy. So it's just easier, I find, to use the wooden spoon when you're adding the milk. You don't want to overmix it, so we just want to get it mixed in enough to get it to the right consistency, and then we'll start to knead the dough and get it ready for biscuit cutter. So just add that a little bit at a time and get that mixed in. If you find you don't have enough milk to get it to the right dough consistency, you can definitely add a little bit more. Just be careful not to overdo it. Looks like we're getting there. Just a few more, just a little bit more to get mixed in. And then we'll be ready to put this out on a floured surface. All right, so now that we have our dough looking pretty good, I've gone ahead and put out some wax paper and I put a little bit of flour on that, and then we'll go ahead and start working this biscuit dough. So what we're gonna do is just kind of flatten it out. With your hands, preferably, not a rolling pin. Flatten it out a little bit. We're gonna fold it over, and then we're gonna flatten it out again. And we're gonna do this about 5 to 6 times. And then on that last time, we're gonna get it flattened out to about 1 inch thick. And then we'll try to use our, biscuit cutters, or whatever you have to cut a biscuit. All right, I think that's looking pretty good. If you don't have a biscuit cutter, just find something biscuit size that you can use, and works just as well. And like I said, this recipe makes about 6 biscuits, maybe a little less depending on the size of your biscuit cutter. So I'll just set this aside until we get them all done, and then we'll put them out on our baking sheet. And you can rework your dough to make sure that you utilize as much of it as possible. Well, as you can see, mine made about 5 pretty good sized biscuits. So we're gonna go ahead and pop these in the oven. It's preheated to 425. We'll let them go for about 12 minutes until they are nice, fluffy, and golden brown. So while the biscuits are cooking, we're gonna go ahead and make our gravy. So I've got my cast iron skillet on the stove. I'm gonna heat it up a little bit. And for this, I am gonna use just a little bit of some Crisco. Some people use grease from frying bacon or sausage. You can use that too. I'm just gonna use Crisco for the... And then besides this, I do have 1/2 cup all-purpose flour, 1.5 cups of whole milk, and I have some salt and pepper. Okay, once all that's melted, we'll make our roux, which we're just gonna add a little bit of flour. Definitely don't want too much to start, so. Just try and get all of the flour incorporated. Don't want that raw flour taste. Don't want it to be lumpy. And I guess the key with gravy is just to make sure that you're adding everything gradually. Once that gets thickened up a little bit, we can go ahead and add some milk. At this point, we can go ahead and add a little bit of milk. And we'll just stir that in. And keep adding. Just keep stirring to make sure there's no clumps in there. And then when it starts to thicken up, you can add a little bit more milk if necessary. Go ahead and add your pinch of salt and pepper. You'll have to do that to taste. I like mine a little bit more peppery than a lot of people probably. does also thicken up a little bit after it's been removed from the heat. And if you find that you thought you had it right, but it's a little thinner than you want, you can always add a little bit more flour. All right, so we'll set that aside, let it cool a little bit, and we'll check on our biscuits. I just took them out of the oven. They're looking really good. I did melt a tablespoon of Kerrygold and I brushed the tops. Then we're gonna go ahead and get this plated with our gravy and we'll show you the finished product. As you can see, I went ahead and cut one nice. They look really nice. So I'm gonna add some gravy to this one. So there's our finished product. As you can see, it looks absolutely delicious. Definitely worth the effort on this one. And the beauty of homemade biscuits, they don't look like canned. You know they're not canned when they're not uniform in shape and size. So easy recipe, really good biscuits. Definitely worth it, giving it a try. Hope you like it. Let us know in the comments what you think, and see you next time.